Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is a special presentation to talk about a wonderful career opportunity that's going to be available to students who are going to join this particular program. Could we just go back a slide just for a moment? Before I start my presentation, I just want you to take a look at a couple of slides here with a list of company names. And there's a question on top: what do these companies have in common? And I assure you that by the time the presentation is over, you will have the answer to that question. Okay? So right now, again, I do want to welcome you. This is a Special Tech Online session. And my name is Jay Lefkowitz. I'm the Director of Special Projects. I'm also Chief of Staff of the Dean's Office. Again, good evening. Okay, this presentation, this whole meeting, this event, is to give you information about a fantastic opportunity that has recently come to our attention. We were approached, they came to us by a very important technology company, and I'll tell you who it was IBM, and they told us they have a serious problem. And their problem is that they have these mainframe computers, and they don't have anybody to work the mainframe computers. Now, I have to tell you, when they told me this, I had to laugh. I'm not a young guy, I'm an old guy. And I can tell you that I remember mainframes being around 45 years ago, including all the things that are involved with mainframes, including the COBOL language and all kinds of other systems, operations, and so on. So I laughed. I said, we're not going to train our students to prepare for a job for stuff that's 45 years old, that's obsolete. And they made it very clear that it's not obsolete. They made it very clear there are tremendous opportunities in this area. And I did a little research to check into it to see if in fact it was true. And it turns out that almost every major international airlines, almost every major large insurance company in the world, many government offices and organizations are still using mainframes to this very day. And they do have a big problem. Now, this is a picture of today. These are the mainframes currently in use. The previous picture was an old picture of what mainframes used to look like 35, 40 years ago. This is seriously a tremendous opportunity, because these companies, the people that used to work this, because they've been doing it for 30 and 40 years, they're going to retire. They are retiring. And there's no one training or educating anyone to move into these jobs, to these positions. It's a real issue. It's a real problem. So therefore, we're going to talk tonight about mainframes. Another name for that, by the way, is Z Systems. Today, that's usually the focus that we give for the name. In fact, IBM came out with a new mainframe computer called the Z14, which is a beautiful mainframe, and it's a small box. It's the size of like a server stand. It's amazing what it can do. Anyways, they've been around since the late 1950s. They're still in use today, and the most important point is they're mission critical. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a few moments. The current employees are aging out, as we mentioned, and therefore many open positions have to be filled. But let me spend a minute to talking about mission critical. The strength of mainframes, which is really much better than many of the other systems available, including servers, including the cloud, including even desktops and standalones, mainframes are very powerful when it comes to working with data. It gives the company the opportunity to really work with huge amounts of data, and there's nothing that's as good as a mainframe to deal with all that data. That's why the airlines, that's why the insurance companies, that's why government offices all still use mainframes, because they've never found anything that can give them the same power and the same strength of dealing with these kind of database issues. But there's one other very important piece. Today we know security, cybersecurity, internet security, security is the prime consideration. Interestingly enough, most companies, when they work, even in the cloud, they send the data up. The data is not secure all the way from beginning to end. Interestingly enough, the IBM systems, the mainframes, the data is encrypted right at the beginning. It stays encrypted all the way through to the transition through the transmission until the end user gets it. And it's even at that point, it's still encoded and it's still secured. Everyone admits that it's really a very, very secure, powerful system. And that's why they're not going away. So what kind of jobs are available? Well, first of all, programming jobs. Now, mainframes still use COBOL. COBOL is a very old language. It's one of the first really important languages, but it's still in use because the mainframes use it. However, and I want to make this point, mainframes today are able to convert current languages like Java, JavaScript, all those kind of languages, and bring them into use by the mainframe. So there is a connection. However, the companies still need and want COBOL programmers to go into actually work on the actual programs, because most of them are proprietary programs, and therefore it makes sense for the company to have people who can still work in that language called COBOL. And of course, there's always systems operations and there's systems programming. And there's DB2 because it's for database. DB2 is the database that's used, the database application that's used to work with all that data that the mainframes are so good at dealing with. Okay. So what do you need to get a COBOL position? Because that's what they're really asking us. They want us to send them students who are graduating, who are going to be able to go to work for them as COBOL programmers. What do they want? Well, they said what they really want is, first of all, they want a student with a master's degree. Just any kind of master's degree. There's 5 different choices up on the screen: database systems, data communications, technology leadership, web and app development, instructional technology, but only on the corporate track. So those are just some of the possible technology master's degrees that they're willing to accept. But what they want as part, not in addition to, but as part of that master's degree, 2 COBOL elective courses. And we're starting that this fall in 2018. And what that means is when you go for your master's, you need 11 courses, 33 credits at Touro College. 2 of those 11 courses are going to be COBOL. Those are going to be your elective courses. So you're going to take 9 courses in which any one of the other concentrations or tracks you're interested in, but you will in addition take 2 COBOL courses. And if you go to any of these companies that are looking to reach out and hire you, they are looking for and they're thrilled to get somebody with a master's degree that includes within that master's degree 2 COBOL courses. If you already have a master's degree and you just want to come back and take the 2 courses as an add-on, that's certainly possible as well. Okay, what is the cost for this? Well, if it's part of your master's degree program, it's no problem because that's already included into the cost. If you're coming back to pay just for the 2 courses, it's the same price as it would be if it was part of your master's, and it comes out to about $4,500, as you can see on the screen, including the registration fee and everything else, okay? So that's what we're dealing with here. By the way, if you have any questions at any time, you'll be able to ask your questions after various parts of the presentation are completed, okay? So therefore we have, and you can always type your questions on the chat box below, or if you want, you're welcome to talk and ask. So before I bring on our Director of Career Services, is there anybody who has a question right now that they would like to ask out loud about what we discussed so far? Okay, since no one has a question, therefore we are going to turn the presentation over to our Director of Career Services, Robert Grossberg. Robert?
Jay, thank you very much, and good evening to everybody who's taken the time to join us to discuss and to hear a little bit about what we consider to be a very exciting program here at Touro College. I personally served for many years as a head of IT departments, and it enables me to help students prepare for careers in the business world. But putting that aside, I actually managed mainframe facilities, data centers, COBOL programming. I started as a COBOL programmer as well. And I too, as Jay had indicated to you before, was very skeptical about the opportunity that was being discussed with us by IBM, since in my previous employment, we had tried to, and in some cases been successful, of moving systems from mainframes smaller to smaller type of boxes, initially mini computers and then the microcomputer environment. So it took a while for me to also believe and to actually see and to talk to people at all of these different companies. And we've established relationships with people in these different companies. And as Jay had said, the original question, what do these companies have in common? Every one of them, and you see all of the very different types of industries that are being represented here. You have the health industry, you have the utility industry, you have banks, and 22 out of the 27 largest banks today, their backbone are mainframe computers. And as a result, even when you're dealing with and you're ordering from Amazon, there is a mainframe that is behind the Amazon orders that you're placing. The companies that we have listed on these two screens are companies that within the New York City area actually have facilities where they are running mainframe computing. You can see some of the New York City and New York State logos that are there for some of the government organizations. And as a result, these are companies that in the New York City area are actually looking for COBOL programmers, for people in the system programming arena. And having made the contacts with the people in those companies, we're prepared to service you and prepare you for a career that will be a career for life, in the sense that you'll be able to work on these new boxes that Jay had shown you before, to enable you to have a solid career whereby you will be the one that will be responsible for the various programs or the systems that are running some of these major operations. It is something that you can do with 2 intensive courses, one in the fall and one in the spring. And we are prepared to then provide you with training so that you will be business ready for interviews, which is something that is not necessarily done in other schools. We will videotape practice interviews. We will make sure that your resume is properly set up for the interview, and as well connect you with people from these companies. In a couple of weeks, Jay and I will be having meetings with some of the people from these companies to present some of the candidates who have just completed the COBOL course, whereby they went through not only an intensive COBOL training, but also at the end followed it up with the career readiness to work in a mainframe environment. And so you will have a special opportunity by participating in the Touro College's Graduate School of Technologies program to secure yourself a job that, just like people who are now retiring after 40 some odd years of working in their various industries, but working in the C-Systems environment, you too can be that type of person and have that type of security. How do you make that happen? The way you make that happen is to join Touro College. And the Graduate School of Technology and some of the other Touro College schools, today we're still on 23rd Street in New York, but by the fall term, we will be moving to West 31st Street, which is diagonally across from Madison Square Garden and Penn Station. We're just west of 8th Avenue. So we will be, although we are in a convenient location now, we'll be in an even more convenient location to the Port Authority and to Penn Station, and very easily accessible from the east side as well. Subway lines go running right by the doors of this particular building. So we're excited about the move, and you would be taking your classes at 320 West 31st Street. How does this all happen? This all happens by your contacting us, by your letting us know that you are interested in finding out more about this very special program that we are running. And the person that you will be dealing with is one of our superstars. His name is Jack Romano, and he is the program director for our MSIS graduate program in information systems, the master's degree of science in information systems. And he personally helps every one of our students prepare for the program with all of the documents that are necessary, and almost handholds them. So he becomes a star, and when people eventually graduate from our master's degree program, one of the people that they single out and they thank is Jack. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jack, who happens to be on this video conference as well, just to say a few words to you. And I'm going to be putting up on the screen Jack's contact information for you. Jack, if you could just let them know how easy this will all be for them to join us.
Hi everyone, how is everything? Thank you for joining us. This is my all my information. If you have any questions, you can email me, call me, or just visit me in my office. If you are an international student, we also can contact you with WhatsApp. So just email me with your phone number, and we'll get in touch with you. If you have any questions, so just do that, please.
Okay, so at this point, Jack, thank you. And at this point, I'm going to turn it back to Jay, and we're really going to open it up to questions, either questions that you have about the program, questions that you may have about Touro College. Any questions that you have, you either can actually speak to us.
Even application process.
Okay. If you're interested in the application process, just contact Jack, and Jack will be able to handle that for you. But if you want to use the chat and type, please do so, and Jay will read the questions. And if in fact you want to speak to us, please do so now.
Great. Well, first we have one question already, and that question was, when do the classes take place? Our classes, this is for the master's degree program as well as the 2 COBOL courses. Our classes generally take place in the evening. We don't give courses during the day because we know students in the graduate program are going for a master's. Many of them have other responsibilities. They work, family, whatever. And therefore, for the convenience of our students, we offer all of our courses in the evening, Monday through Thursday, occasionally on the weekend. There are no classes Friday evening. So if you take a class, for example, on Tuesday, you're going to have each Tuesday for 13 weeks, 3 hours in the evening, let's say from around 6:15 to around 9:15, something like that. And you have 13 of those Tuesdays, and that's a 3-credit course. You can take 1, 2, or 3 courses per semester. In special situations or emergencies, we do occasionally, very rarely, allow students to take 4 courses during the semester. Generally, though, we limit it to 3. However, you can take as few, even as just 1. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Are there any other questions? Okay, where the classes take place, I think Robert handled that. He made it clear right now the courses take place at 27 West 23rd Street or 33 West 23rd Street. However, we are moving, and we're going to have the new address for September, so you'll be taking your classes on West 31st rather than on 23rd. Okay? It's a new facility. Hopefully, it'll be ready in time. Now, question, will foreign students benefit from these job opportunities? That's a very good question, And the answer is an emphatic yes. In fact, for foreign students, if you ask me on a personal basis, I would say a foreign student is better off taking these courses rather than going for the standard courses available. Why am I saying that? Because if you're just going to have a regular master's, you're going to have all these other students from all over the country who are competing with you. But if you're a foreign student and you have a couple of COBOL courses as part of your master's, and then you go for a job, you're going to go to interview with a company that is desperate to get people with your skills. And they are so desperate that they're going to be more than happy to go and prepare to give you an H1. And that's something that other jobs may not necessarily do. But again, because of the need, and because the government recognizes the need, because everyone is aware of it now, IBM is aware of it, all these banks, all these insurance companies, the airlines, all these major companies have all this heavy data that has to work through the mainframe systems. They need people, and they need them desperately. So if you're looking for a good career that's going to be around for a while, don't be afraid it's disappearing. I thought it was going to disappear 20 years ago. It's still here, and I've been speaking to people involved in the field, and I can honestly tell you it's going to remain. It's not going anywhere. In fact, I met an executive from an insurance company, I won't mention the name, but he told me that they brought him in to run the mainframe operation with the idea of taking it completely apart. This was about 12 years ago. And instead of taking it apart, he doubled the size of the operation. He added in new mainframes, and he hired twice as many people as he started with, because it was very clear that there's no way this company, it was an insurance company, could survive without having the mainframes remain in place. Okay? So absolutely, for international students, I would say not only is it a good idea, it is a great idea. This is something you really should look at. Are there any other questions? I believe that's the last question. Okay, are there any other programming languages required other than COBOL? It's always good to know as many programming languages as you can. Most good programmers know more than one language, and it's important to stay current. However, what they're looking for right now are COBOL programmers. And the COBOL happens to be, if you don't know programming at all, COBOL happens to be a good language as an entry level language to start learning programming. It's really one of the first ones out there, and it's very well organized, and it gives you a good taste and idea of programming languages in general. And once you learn it, and once you get your job, we at Turo encourage you to continue growing. Always try to learn the latest that's out there. Always stay current. And this way, when the time comes and you want to make a career change and move on to bigger and better things, you will have that opportunity. Okay? So on that note, I wish to thank you all for joining us, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. And I sincerely hope that you take this wonderful opportunity to heart and really give it a chance and look into it. And we'll be more than happy to support you all the way through. Again, good luck to you, and I wish you all a good evening and a good future. Good night.